Gustav Isaksen. But Alasdair, winning a game in an away game, last second, 2 men down, this is simply unbelievable, right? It's incredible, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure we were even planning on doing a podcast after this game, but considering what happened, we have to get something off the chest here. It's just an unbelievable finish to what was otherwise a pretty turgid game. That goal from Gustav Isaksen, the quality of that goal had no place in this match. Like it was like an alien being dropped onto Earth, that kind of goal. The quality, he summoned all the quality from 100 minutes of football into one moment. It was just wonderful. And his moment, we've been saying all season, Gustav Isaksen, for all the improvement he's made, he's not kind of had that big moment yet. And this was it. What an extraordinary goal to finish. 9 men, 98th minute. I mean, you got a double heart check-up this week, Vittorio.
Yeah. I mean, bulletproof, I would say. The funny thing, Alasdair, is that he missed an incredible chance in the first half. I mean, all the rest of the first half still trying to understand what the hell he was trying to do when he was all alone in front of the goalkeeper. We have to mention that the pitch was dreadful, terrible. You can see the ball bouncing without a sense. So it was incredible. But back pass, completely wrong. You're there in front of the goalkeeper. I don't know. He tried to dribble past the keeper and missed the ball.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's kind of a weird game to analyze and review because the end of it is so extraordinary and exciting and emotional, and ultimately the result is a brilliant one. Because I said when we were previewing this game in the last pod, and even a draw is fine. Like just to come back, take this tie back to Rome, and feel like we can beat them at home would be good. So to go there and win in those conditions, that awful pitch, all the rest of it is superb. But, and I've seen this being pointed out on our Patreon this morning in the chat room already, it wasn't a good performance. So how do you kind of sum this up? Is it good to find a way of winning an ugly game, to find a way of winning when you're not necessarily playing that well as a team? Or are there concerns about the performance overall not being, the level that it was at, certainly against Milan?
So the thing I didn't know is that Viktoria Plzen in home games in Europe League is pretty much unbeatable. I think in the last 12 they lost only one, so they're pretty good at home. And I can understand why. Probably they're used to that magic ball bouncing around bizarre way. But let's be honest, the second half, I was watching the game and I said, are we playing against Real Madrid now? I mean, they looked unbelievable. We were dreadful. So, yeah, to be honest with you, after they find the equalizer, I said, we are not getting out a point today. We are losing this game. And that was incredible. I don't know, Alasdair, but only mentioned, not only the physical fatigue, but also the mental fatigue after playing Sunday night against AC Milan. That was another incredible fight. We scored at the last second. Do you think he's right? Do you think that had an impact on the game? Or, we didn't mention, but we didn't have Zaccagni. I think Hila wasn't fit because he was on the bench. We had a couple of players missing and other playing just with one training only in the week. So I think that had an impact, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I do think the conditions made a huge impact, because if you're unable to play the ball along the ground, like that is a big problem for Lazio, because they are a team that's reliant on kind of speed of attack and getting the ball down the wings and good delivery, good passing. That's where they cause problems to the opposition, and it's this kind of really compact pitch. And I saw these videos that some of the Lazio news accounts were putting out before the match of walking over the pitch and seeing all these puddles and these patches and stuff. And I was thinking, surely this is the day before. I mean, surely it'll be in better condition somehow by tomorrow. And It's just a great example. It's kind of old school European football in the sense of like really making home advantage an advantage, because there's nothing in the rule book that says you can't do that. And if it suits you to have this small bubbly pitch and go direct, fight for the second balls, all this kind of stuff. I said leading up to this game, I expected it would be a match where we saw quite a lot of ball possession because Pilsen don't seem to have a lot. But in the second half, especially, that wasn't really happening either. So I do think they struggled to work out how best to approach this game. And maybe, like you say, the changes to the lineup, the fatigue from San Siro, this run of away games that we've been having, all of these things combined could certainly have had an impact. But I do think ultimately they've not really had a game like that this season as a team in conditions like that against an opponent like that. And it seemed to me like they were trying to work that out the whole way through. And ultimately the 2 red cards might have come from a bit of frustration of feeling like they didn't know how to work it out.
You mentioned the 2 red cards. Let's talk about it. What do you think about the referee? Because, he disallowed a goal in the first 12 minutes that would have changed the game, and gave 2 red cards to the Lazio players.
Vittorio, there is a very clear rule on this podcast, which is that if anyone is going to ask the question, what do you think about the referee? It's me who asked that question, okay?
Okay. To be honest, I thought the referee was good. I honestly believe that he managed correctly the game. We made 2 stupid fouls. The Rovella one, I think it's a red card. There's not discussion that, but it doesn't make sense. You are in the middle of the pitch. He's not going anywhere. It's not like he's getting control of the ball and he's gonna score from there or create anything. So that's a stupid foul. And we have to say Rovella is making too many stupid fouls. The Gigot one, I mean, we saw it coming, right? It's all the year we're talking about, or at least I'm talking about that. I always said Gigot is a foul away from a red card. And yesterday he reached that. And again, he's not going anywhere. You have 3 defenders behind him. So let it go. Gigot is really dangerous to me. And unbelievable. I know people will say, you could give a yellow card to other teams, etc. We are not other teams. And already the ref was so good to disallow the goal Pilsen scored after 12 minutes. And the other important thing, Alasdair, is that Thursday we won't have Rovella, but we won't have even Belayan. So it's Vesino Guendouzi or Guendouzi Dele Bashiro if he recovers. That's a huge problem going forward, right?
Yeah, and Guendouzi must be knackered by now because he has played 2 monster games in the last week. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets a rest on Monday against Udinese, because that's such a quick turnaround. Monday night, 8:45 kickoff to Thursday, 6:45. I mean, that is not much time to get yourselves ready. On Gigot, I mean, Gigot did all the Gigot things in one match. It was kind of spectacular and wonderful to see. My kind of conviction as the season's gone on that we're watching the evolution of the French Bastos here. It's starting to get deeper and deeper, my evidence pool, because just I think 2-3 minutes before the completely wild, reckless tackle for the red card, he'd gone on this incredible run where he just ran through the center of the pitch all the way to the edge of the box, played this cute little through ball to Isaksen. He seemed to have decided, I'm not sure if Baroni asked him to or not, but he seemed to have decided he was going to play as a striker and kept
he stayed there after that. He's like, no, I'm central forward now.
I was just watching it on Sky, and it was funny because there was just this pause, the co-commentator, this kind of pause, and then the co-commentator goes, I think it's better if he goes back in defense now.
It's like when you're playing 5-a-side with friends that you rotate, and Gigot just said, "Okay, now I'm done playing defender. Now I'm playing striker." He said, "I'm staying here. Don't worry."
You're right. I mean, look, you're right in terms of having had that fear all season that this would happen sooner or later. Yeah, there was that fear. It was wild. You're right. I mean, I'm kind of glad to hear you say that about the refereeing, because I thought he was pretty good as well. I mean, I don't think you can really complain. I've seen you make this point online, and I think you're right, where save your referee complaints to when they actually have currency, to when they actually have something behind them. If you just complain about the referee every single week, then no one's going to listen to what you've got to say, So I think Ravella, it's the highest of high boots. It's like higher than his head. You can't do that. I'm sorry, you just can't. And Gigot, if you go off your feet, 2 feet in the air, doesn't matter if you clip the ball. You can't do that. It's dangerous play.
And anyway, he didn't touch the ball. So
yeah, exactly.
The ball was already gone, minutes before. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that was frustrating. Obviously, you're losing, like you say, for the second leg, 2 players who would have been useful in a squad that is, getting thinner and thinner. But to come away with the win, to take that back to Rome is huge. I wouldn't want to say that the tie is won by any means, but you feel like that Plzen team, they're going to find it a lot harder to impact Lazio on a big, smooth pitch at the Olimpico.
Absolutely. Alasdair, one of the biggest surprise probably was seeing Provedel playing instead of Mandas. It was fun enough because the Corriere dello Sport on Tuesday, I think, said Mandas, new contract and the cup. And instead Provedel played. I thought he wasn't perfect on the Viktoria Plzen goal. But after that, he made a couple of good saves, right?
Yeah, and it's been important week for him after losing his place for a couple of games. Baroni was good to his word in terms of still seeing Provedel as his number one and bringing him back in when it matters. And yeah, he's been solid. We're still not keeping clean sheets, which is frustrating. We're still conceding back post headers. The goal conceded was an incredibly frustrating and avoidable one, because I think the defensive line switched off entirely. But that, I don't know. I don't know if you can really blame Provedel for that particularly. And otherwise, he was pretty solid throughout the game in a difficult match for a keeper. I think, especially those kind of balls into the box, the ones that are bubbling around. I think his kind of fielding work was pretty good. I don't know. It's hard if last night I was watching the PSG Liverpool game, and if you watch Alisson Becker in that match, it's suddenly the standards of what counts as a good goalkeeping performance suddenly change in your mind slightly.
Unbelievable.
Solid.
Yeah, we did a little bit like Liverpool, right?
Not quite to that extent, but yeah, similar theme.
But there's something I want to point out is we were 2 men down. Last second, you have the ball possession, and 99.9% of teams with the ball goes to the corner kick and stay there till the referee whistles. Instead, Guendouzi takes the ball from the side, moves centrally, pass the ball in the box, where Isaksen is pretty much 1 against 5, and Isaksen doesn't go back and waste time. Instead, try to score. I mean, this is really important. I think the mentality of this team has changed, and it's even in that condition, thinking about winning. That's astonishing.
Yeah, and I think it's like just part of the team's DNA now, which is so good to see, is that it doesn't really matter what the score is, what the context is. Late in games, this team are always a threat. And I've mentioned to you time and again how I find it kind of annoying how DAZN's coverage, they bring up this stat every single game as soon as the 75th minute arrives. But Lazio have scored an incredible number of goals in that final 15. And I think this was the 18th of the season, 19th, something like that, in all competitions, which is amazing haul. I mean, in Serie A, they're way ahead of everyone else for late goals. I think that is a combination of good management from Baroni in terms of the tweaks he makes throughout the game, the attacking rotation, because like we've said all season, it has helped that there isn't such a nailed on starting team that when you make changes it disrupts things completely. And also the mentality, the mentality is there. I mean, that's something that has changed for sure in the last year or so, because we used to be in a position where as soon as we were behind in a game, it was kind of game over, where the team was unable to mount comebacks from any position. And it's not even necessarily the Lazio are always mounting comebacks, but they are always convinced that they can score late in games. And considering how many matches they've had, considering how tired a lot of these players must be, it's so impressive that they're continuing to have that approach, that conviction, even at this stage of the season.
I didn't expect to say this, but I'm missing Tadi Castellano a lot. And yesterday, Noslin had another opportunity. And yes, I know people will say, well, he made the assist for the first goal. I don't know if he really did. I mean, he just touched the ball. I don't know if he was pointing to Romagnoli. But his overall performance was not good, right?
I thought it was actually a bit better. I mean, where it depends what your standards are. Because I think that by the standards of Noslin's own recent performances, he did a bit better in this match than he has done previously. I think he was finding a bit more space. I think his runs were a bit better. He was trying to stretch the play a bit better. And you think, an assist is an assist, no matter how they come around. So I think you've got to give him a level of credit for it. It's certainly not a performance where you're like, your opinion of him completely changes overnight. It's not, but I think he showed something. And I think he showed more than Chauna has as a number 9 in recent games.
I'm really tempted, but Azeda won, Bodo Glimt destroyed Olympiacos. I mean...
Oh.
I don't know what to say, honestly.
Yeah, well, yeah. See, if I said that, you would absolutely hang me out to dry. You wouldn't let me say that.
I'm the way I'm seeing it is we are going to be able to lose against Bodo Glimt in the semi-final if we go through.
Well, look, I mean, Bodo won 3-0 last night.
Yep.
But again, should Lazio progress, we're not taking it for granted, and should Bodo progress, that's another one like Pilsen where it's such an awkward place to go. And I think because they make it the game they want to make it on their pitch in their stadium, people find it very difficult to play against them. I think they got a plastic pitch as far as I remember. I might be wrong about that. But certainly a lot of teams really struggle going up there. I mean, just ask Roma. But it's not just them. That was obviously a famous one, but there have been plenty of teams who've struggled against Bodo Glimt in recent years. But yeah, I mean, looking at our side of the draw, it's an opportunity, Vito. We don't need to necessarily jinx it by talking about how far we'll go, but it's not jinxing it to say Lazio will rarely get a better chance to go far in Europe than they have now, because not just the way this team is playing this season, but just the draw, the way it is panned out, to have a chance of playing Viktoria Plzen, followed by probably Bodo Glimt, and then a semi-final. Okay, we'll see, but the options there are an Ajax team we've already beaten, a Frankfurt team, decent team but not terrifying, one of the worst Spurs teams in years, and then AZ. It's not bad.
Okay, finish. It's enough. It's enough. Don't go further. Do you think Baroni made a mistake not adding Belayan in the list? Because we're going to miss him on Thursday. You mentioned that probably he's going to start on Monday, which I'm not 100% convinced. because I think he's very close to Rovella as a type of player. So I don't think they gel well together. But, on Thursday would have been perfect. Okay, Rovella is out, Belayan, Guendouzi, I'm fine with that. I'm not that fine with Vecino, Guendouzi, even though, Pilsen away, it's a completely different team. They are unbeatable at home, but they are not good enough away. They lost a lot of games.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think Belayan would have been a great option. This is a tricky week. I mentioned the quick turnaround there, but also Udinese are such an awkward team to get right now. I know it's probably better to have Udinese than one of the top teams, but they're in great form at the moment. They've got 4 wins and a draw in their last 5, and the draw was away to Napoli. They've had 3 clean sheets in a row. Defensively, they are solid. They have really well-organized team. They've got some giant physical defenders. I just think this is going to be a really tough game for Lazio.
Especially considering we just have 2 days to recover, right?
Yeah, and it's exactly the kind of trap that those teams around us are waiting for us to fall into, because the top 4 race as it is still a race at the moment, but Juventus being out of Europe and being out of the Coppa Italia, and now looking up the table and saying, okay, we've been crap all season, but we're 6 points off top. For Lazio to stand any chance of trying to keep pace with Juve, they've got to be beating Udinese at home.
Yeah, it's true. Juventus has Atalanta this weekend and Fiorentina the next one. So it's not going to be easy for them. But definitely, this is a challenging game for us. It's difficult. It's complicated because we lost the away game this year. We usually struggle against Udinese. Alasdair, before I forget, we have to thank Robert Peterson, our new Patreon, who joined us yesterday. So, Robert, welcome to the club. Thank you very much. Remember, you can join us, support us on patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Membership starts at $2 a month. Robert is a Lazio fan now, so thank you very much. We remember you that we have a chat on Patreon for our Patreon members. I just published a very funny meme, so go and check it. This morning I had a little bit of fun about it. So join us, and remember that every month you have a exclusive Q&A podcast just for you, Patreon of our Lazio Lounge page. I think we're going to do it after the international break. I just found out last week we have an international break, Alasdair. So it was good.
Hey, Italy are in the Nations League semi-finals, Vittorio. You should already be excited about that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm already thinking where I'm going that weekend. So, that's how much I'm focused on that game. But no, to be honest, I'm really happy because this means that we have an extra week to recover Isai, Castellanos, and all the injury players we have. That's what international break are for, right? Castellano hasn't been called for the national team because he's injured. That's good. So, yeah, Alasdair, this is another important point. Recovering all the players, because we're playing every 3 days. So it's going to be really important. We said it was a short one, Alasdair. I think if you don't have anything else to say, we can wrap it up here. Monday's Lazio's playing, so we're going to record the podcast on Tuesday. Then Thursday, there's another important game. So, Laziali, it's going to be another busy week for us. So take care. And again, if you're listening on Apple, rate and review the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube page. And if you like what we are doing, you have our Patreon page. Membership starts at just $2 a month. Bye, Alasdair. Thank you very much for joining me, and take care.
Cheers.